The Toyota Center in downtown Houston opened late last year. This is the inaugural season, and they celebrate with a Rocket playoff series. The first time Houston has been in the playoffs since 1999. And in town, Shaquille O'Neal and the Los Angeles Lakers taking on Yao Ming and the Rockets in the fourth game of this Western Conference first-round matchup. Al Michaels with Doc Rivers and Michelle Tafoya. In game one, the Lakers escaped with a win when Kobe Bryant threw up an air ball and Shaquille O'Neal was able to dunk it, and they got out of L.A. with a one-point win. Then in game two, Houston had the lead at the half, but Kobe Bryant had a big second half, and the Lakers were dominant. But here the other night, Houston took a late first-quarter lead and never looked back. It's 2-1. Doc, the Lakers are the most scrutinized team in professional sports. They keep saying, we'll be okay. Do you buy that?
Well, I buy it in the fact that, the playoffs really doesn't start until the road team win a playoff game. But they also understand this. If they lose this game, it's a 3-game series. They don't want that. If they win this game, you can count it an elimination game. The Rockets would be in trouble.
And then there's Jeff Van Gundy, the Houston coach, who always keeps his wits about him. They won the other night. The place went crazy. They're back in the series, but Van Gundy's the first guy to say, guys, that's just one. We need 4.
Yeah, I think what Van Gundy is trying to sell his team is relief or belief. The relief is, well, we just won a game, so we won't get swept. Belief is, do you believe you can win this series? That's what he's trying to get his troops to understand.
So here we go. Game 4 ready to start in mid-afternoon here in Houston. The Bud Light starting lineups now. And there is a change. The Lakers have Devin George replacing Rick Fox up front with Malone and O'Neal, Jim Jackson, Cato, and Yao Ming, the front line for the Rockets. Payton and Bryant in the backcourt for L.A., and Francis and Mobley, who each averaged better than 40 minutes per game in the regular season. The backcourt, Tatum and Francis, had a phenomenal night on Friday night, including 2 late driving baskets at the end of the game to cement it and put the exclamation point on it. Kelvin Cato will jump center against Shaquille O'Neal, and the pivotal game 4 from Houston is underway as the teams head back to L.A. for a game 5 on Wednesday. Devin George, who started the first 45 games of the season but has started only 3 since then, comes off the bench. O'Neal, as they work the perimeter. Malone, shot clock is down to 4, and a 3-pointer by George doesn't go. Rebound to Mobley with a big night, as did Francis on Friday. Jackson saves, and Francis comes out to set it up.
Well, to set up the pick and roll, because that's what you're going to see all afternoon is the Rockets running pick and roll and trying to exploit it, and that's what it happens. You get shots out of the pick and roll. It's not always the guy with the ball, but because of the pick and roll, it puts the Lakers in a bad defensive position. The Rockets are exploiting it thus far in this series.
Yao Ming is very proficient from that spot from which he just shot, about 17 feet on the long twos. And there's a long two by Karl Malone. But one difference between Yao Ming and Shaq is that Shaq shoots almost everything inside. Yao Ming will come out 17, 18 feet and is pretty good from out there.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so difficult for Shaq, because you have a big guy who can take him away from the bucket.
Now Gary Payton. Payton's been like a pitcher who goes 6 innings and then comes out in the top of the 7th. He hasn't played at all in the 4th quarter of each of the last 2 games and misses his first attempt here. And
he's really important to this basketball team. It's funny, we talked about the Big 4 coming into this season, but in this series it's been more about the role players making open shots. If they don't, the Rockets will continue to double team.
Jackson loves to shoot from the corner, missed that one, and it's out of bounds off the Lakers. So with the game tied early on, Jeff Van Gundy coming here and replacing Rudy Tomjanovich, who had been the coach here for 12 years, but Rudy was diagnosed with bladder cancer, and we understand he's doing very well. And then Van Gundy got the job his first year here after several successful years in New York as Cato jams it through.
And every point that Cato makes is gravy for the Rockets, because those are points that they don't expect.
Cato, the defensive specialist, as Bryant makes his first shot of the game. 2 minutes in, the game at 4.
It will be rare in this game that you'll see Kobe Bryant in a one-on-one situation. Jeff Van Gundy has decided he's going to send double teams at Shaq and at Kobe and make the other guys, the role players, make shots.
Jackson running hook doesn't go. Out of bounds off Jackson, and let's check in with Michelle Tafoya. Michelle.
All right, Al. Well, like Doc mentioned in the beginning of the show, it's either going to be relief or belief from the Houston Rockets, according to Jeff Van Gundy, and he'll see it manifest itself on the court. If they believe they are in it to win it, he says he'll see more intensity, discipline, concentration, and poise from his team. If they're not in it, if they're only relieved, then he'll see a lessening of those things. He hopes they are not emotionally drunk from Friday's win. And as you said, Doc, all they did was get back in the series. Van Gundy says to make it a series, they have to win today.
Yeah, I agree, Michelle. If you tie a series 2-2, then it really is a series. Even though neither team has won a game on the road, they know that pivotal Game 5 can go any way. And the favorite team, the Lakers, they don't want anything to do with a Game 5 situation where if they lose, they're down 3-2 in the series.
Well, Game 5 also means they would be back here for certain next Saturday. They don't want to come back to Texas. Not here anyway. They do want to go back to Texas, and that's San Antonio.
Yeah.
The team they would meet in the second round, assuming they knock off Memphis and they're up 3-0. Shaquille O'Neal is now 10 out of 32 from the free throw line in the series.
Yeah, and they don't look good. I mean, there's misses and then there's misses. And his is the second one. It's the misses, the bad ones.
The not even close type. So Shaq now 10 out of 33, and that's hurting the Lakers. They're lucky that almost everybody else, apart from O'Neal, is shooting very well from the free throw line. Yao over Shaq.
See, but that's too far. Shaq will take that. He pushed Yao away from the basket. Now look at this. This is a little deeper. That's where Yao wants to get the ball. Shaq has done a great job of closing the airspace on Yao, making it very difficult for him to shoot.
Malone trying to get it to O'Neal, who gets it back after it was deflected by Yao underneath. Shaq was able to catch it, jam it, and the Lakers take a 2-point lead.
It's really important that the Lakers go to Shaq and go to him consistently and throughout the game. So far in this series, they've done it in streaks. They go 4 or 5 times to him, then they forget him for 5 or 6 minutes. Phil Jackson wants them to continually go to him throughout the game.
Bryant holding Mobley. That was the case the other night. People talk about Bryant, and sometimes, you know, that Sacramento game a couple of weeks ago that led to that firestorm. Why didn't he shoot? And, of course, he had the 45-point night against Golden State. The other night, they were double-teaming him. Shaq had 11 points before Kobe had any. And then, of course, they stopped going to Shaq.
Yeah, but it wasn't Kobe. You know, Kobe is the most maligned great player that I've ever seen. You know, he, in my opinion, since Jordan, he's the best player in our league.
Steve Francis puts in a long 2 to tie the game. Malone quickly answers.
Very important. Karl Malone is going to get wide open shots this entire afternoon, and he has to make them this entire afternoon.
Malone was 3 of 14 in game 1. That has picked up his game since, and Malone says it's out of bounds off Yao. The officials concur. Joe Crawford, David Jones, and Bill Spooner calling the game today.
Well, I tell you, you don't see Malone play with the emotion that he's playing with now very often. The Lakers are in this game, I can tell you that.
Yeah, the Lakers took notice of the celebration the other night. And in a way, you know, the way the Rockets ended the game and the crowd going crazy, and they haven't won a playoff series since '97. It's a little understandable. But Mobley then takes it to the hoop and jams it home to tie the game. But the Lakers, that was one of the things they did discuss yesterday in the locker room. It's like, what, they won the NBA Finals?
Well, you know, I've always said this. They can talk that, but the bottom line is they did win that game. And you don't make adjustments on another team's emotion. You make it on their play.
Malone with that ill-advised behind-the-back bounce pass, and that leads to this three-point attempt from Mobley that doesn't go, but then Yao gets the roll.
The one change the Rockets have made, and Van Gundy has done a great job, they have not been a transition game all year, but for them to win this series, they understand they have to get easy baskets and they have to score in transition.
Can't just win it on defense totally. Of course, Van Gundy, the defensive guru, as Malone puts it in again. So Karl Malone right now has a total of 6 points. He has 6 of the 10, and we're tied at 10.
Again, a wide open shot. They've decided that they're going to double team Shaq with Karl Malone's guy, and that's Calvin Cato. The key for Malone is to continue to shoot and make those open shots.
The left hand reverse by Mobley. Rebound to O'Neal. Payton, the floater. Jackson comes back the other way. Jim Jackson, 12 years in the league, 10th team. Yao Ming's second year in the league. Francis in his 5th. Steve Francis for 3. Period more than half over. 5:40 remaining.
That's another great part about Yao's game that we don't give enough credit to is his passing. If you double team Yao Ming, he will find the open guy.
Payton at the shot clock, at the buzzer. Got it off in time, but Houston comes down with a rebound.
You can really see the Lakers trying to involve Gary Payton. It's rare that you'll see a point guard in the triangle offense on the post, yet that was by Phil Jackson's design.
And then Cato puts it in over O'Neal. And trying to get O'Neal into early foul trouble is something the Rockets and anybody facing O'Neal will try to do. That's his first. He'll go to the line when we come back. And it's a 5-point Houston lead with 5 minutes to go in the period. Lakers have taken the lead on an 8-0 run. Now, you know about the 4 superstars, the 4 future Hall of Famers of the Lakers. So who would be the best complement to them? Who would be, in effect, the 5th Beatle? So there are the 4 in the crosswalk. With Rick Fox, they're averaging on a 48-minute basis, they're 9 points better. With Devin George, 13.5 points better. You put Kareem Rush in, surprisingly, they're 7 points to the worst. But with Fisher, look at it at the bottom, 23.5 points on a 48-minute basis. When those 5 play together, which they did only 84 minutes this season, but as Doc suggested, they may have found their lineup for the rest of this series.
Yeah,
anyway.
I think it's their lineup. I don't know if you start that lineup, but I definitely think it's their best lineup.
Here's Nakbar off the glass.
That was a total disrespect defensively from Kobe. He waved over to the bench after Nakbar scored and said, "I'm sorry." Kobe didn't know Nakbar could do that.
Here's Shaq, gets doubled and gets fouled. He had Yao inside him and Nakbar outside him.
You know, Nakbar was a terrific offensive player in Europe. And you can see Kobe gambles a little bit, allows Nakbar to get it. And right after the shot, Kobe waved over to the bench and said, "My fault."
He's from Slovenia, played in Italy, 6'9". That's also the 3rd foul on Nakbar. So he hasn't been in that long, and he's already halfway to disqualification. Nakbar's only played 3 minutes. They feed Shaq. Now Payton on Nakbar. Nakbar with those 3 fouls. And at the buzzer, he puts it in. Shot clock expiring as Payton makes it a 29-26 game.
And again, with this lineup, Gary Payton is no longer being guarded by the quicker point guard. He's being guarded by a 2 guard that gives Gary Payton a quickness advantage.
Payton's first points of the game. Gary is 4 for his last 20 in field goal attempts in the series, as Yao Ming makes it a 1-point game again.
Nice job by Yao Ming getting deep. I mean, that's the one thing Jeff Van Gundy says he still has to work on. He would rather fade away and take jump stops instead of getting deep, especially on Shaq. You have to.
Now Francis for the Rockets. Steve has played the whole way. He has 6 points. Nakbar from the corner. And O'Neal with a rebound for Los Angeles. Shaq with 3 boards now as Malone can't drop it.
Yeah, 2 quick shots. Again, for both teams, start with Yao, start with Shaq, and play from that point on.
Mobley, 3-pointer.
See, that was with Yao, though. You know, the difference was the Lakers came down and took a quick shot. the Rockets did also, but they involved Yao in the pick and roll. Or the screen and roll.
That's what Phil refers to it as. And a few other coaches. Fisher rims it. Yeah, Phil's always talking about the screen roll. You never hear him use the phrase pick and roll.
You know, a lot of people don't understand that it's the same thing.
Yep.
You know, coaches have their own terminology.
Off Houston.
Again, Yao Ming's passing is just absolutely terrific. If you double team him, he's going to find the guy. And you know Mobley would love to have that shot back.
That last foul was on Mobley, so he has to come out. That's 3. And let's check in with Michelle.
Hey, I spoke to Gary Payton before the game. He told me that he'd love to win a championship, in great part to get it over with. He wants to win more than one. I asked him, will he stay with Los Angeles? He said it depends on a couple of key factors. And I'll get back to it in a second, guys.
Here's Nakbar on a break. And Nakbar gets fouled, and then it looks like Malone was ready to get into it with him, and here comes Van Gundy, and you know that scene when Jeff gets into the middle of an altercation.
Yeah, I think they better watch Van Gundy and watch your legs right now.
The other thing you have to watch for in a situation like this is, you know, in the NBA, and Ron Artest knows it best of all, did any of the guys not on the court come out onto the floor?
Yeah, the first thing I did was look over at both benches, and both set of assistant coaches had their arms out waving to everyone to get back.
The Rockets might have felt that Malone undercut Nakbar. Take a look.
Well, what happened, if you see it, Steve Francis and Karl Malone bumped into each other. It threw Karl Malone off balance, which threw him into Nakbar. Steve Francis took exception, thinking that it was done on purpose.
Now, you're right. He's off balance.
Yes.
There's no place to go. And now you also have only 2 officials breaking up the altercation instead of 3, with Joe Crawford still on the men.
Yeah, but I think the officials did an excellent job. They cleared the court. They're bringing them back out on the floor now. Tempers have kind of calmed down a little bit. It was a hard foul. I think you probably have to call it a flagrant foul because of that.
Well, of course, anytime Van Gundy comes out into a situation like this in April of '98, the famous, I guess infamous for Jeff scene with Alonzo Mourning, and there he is like a rag doll.
You know, at the time, it wasn't very funny, but every time you get a look at that, it's pretty amazing to watch.
I think he has to see the humor in it by now, I would think. Houston now leads by 4. Nakbar is going to go to the line. It's a double technical. A double technical was called on Payton and on Francis. The foul was on Malone. It is now a 5-point game, and Nakbar doing all this with 3 fouls. He picked up 3 quick ones. It's against Shaq. So that's O'Neal's second. Malone now has 2. And that gets the crowd even more excited.
Smart move by Shaq. Didn't get away with it. The players know now there's going to be touch fouls called because the officials are trying to clean the game up. Shaq is trying to draw it on Yao. Unfortunately for him, Yao did a better job defending it.
Malone backs into the front court. He's got Kobe behind him, but he's going to go all the way. And Nakbar knocks him down. And here comes Malone, is looking for Nakbar. And they call a technical foul on Malone, because Nakbar got up and started to walk away, and Malone started to go after him. And the officials are right there. Bill Spooner calling the technical foul.
Al, I have to say, that is a great job by Nakbar. He had to do this. I mean, it wasn't nasty or dirty, but Nakbar had to do that. On the play before, he was knocked down by Malone. You know, in this league, you have to do it back. He did it back in a clean way. Nakbar has just become a hero in Houston for standing up for Karl Malone. And I think it's something you have to do as a young player to show that you're not afraid of anyone.
David Jones was the referee, the official who called it. Jackson makes the technical. Have you ever seen a guy create more havoc playing 5 minutes and drawing 4 fouls than Nakbar?
No, I haven't. But it's good. I mean, he's bringing energy to the basketball team right now. He's doing exactly what he is supposed to do. And Jeff Van Gundy, if he could, he would have given him a high five because that's exactly what he wants. And you know now how important a game 4 is. Both teams are playing desperate basketball right now.
So Malone at the line with his wardrobe malfunction. Now Nakbar comes out. Mark Jackson comes in. Here's the rip job.
There is nothing wrong with a little emotion.
Right.
We have to stay calm.
We will. We're on 7-second delay. Why not?
Yes.
Here's Malone missing. Yao gets the rebound. Houston up 35-30 as we approach the halfway mark of the second quarter. Mark Jackson, who had retired at the beginning of the season, second all-time in assists, and then signed with Houston in mid-year. Payton starts back for the Lakers. 17-footer by Gary doesn't go, and Mo Taylor takes it off the boards.
Another quick shot by the Lakers, and you know, I know Phil Jackson doesn't want that.
Yao, remember Shaq's got 2.
Yao has to get deep. You have 2 fouls on Shaq. There is no double team. I think Yao had to try to get deep on that.
Fisher dove for it. Shot clock at 1. Here comes the horn. Buzzer went off as the shot was taken. O'Neal gets the rebound.
You see the difference is that Shaquille O'Neal gets deep, Yao Ming doesn't, and that's the difference. If Shaquille O'Neal gets a dunk, Yao Ming shoots a 3.
As Yao's career progresses, will he get deeper and deeper, Doc?
Yeah, he will. He'll learn how to play more physical, and the more he plays against Shaq will help.
And he still has that pretty good touch from the outside as well, which will make him doubly tough.
Now
Payton left hands one.
That's what he wants. That's what Payton did earlier in the year. When he was penetrating, there's no triangle. That's a straight line. Phil Jackson doesn't mind that.
Jackson. Mark at the age of 39. He's the 3rd oldest player in the league. Malone is 40, and then Kevin Willis at San Antonio is 41. Francis. Malone with a rebound. Lakers have a chance to take the lead again. And timeout taken by the Lakers. Doc, the Lakers are up by 3, but as a coach, how crazy would you be with your big men, Yao on one side and Shaq on the other, picking up ticky-tack fouls, especially in Shaq's case, with a couple of minutes to go in the half.
Yeah,
3rd fouls.
Yeah, and for Shaq, it's a dumb foul because you have Yao out of the game. So you want to stay on the floor. This series has been all about, thus far, which center gets in foul trouble first, and the other one takes advantage. There you see Yao Ming reaching on a foul that he should have just allowed. And here it was even worse. Shaquille O'Neal now has Yao on the bench, and then he reaches, and so now he has to sit. But understand this, Jeff Van Gundy will definitely sit Yao. It's not so sure that Phil Jackson will sit Shaq. He's in other players in other games. He's kind of played Shaq through this. Right now he's not. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Shaq before this half ends.
Well, the interesting thing that Jackson did, and it turned out to be a great move, was when Shaquille got his 4th foul in Game 2 the other night. At that point, the game was close. He did not take him out. And then Bryant was able to rally the team, and they won going away. Shaq out, at least at the moment, as Taylor connects to make it a 1-point game. Under 2 minutes to play in the opening half in Houston in Game 4.
The role players for the Rockets have been terrific in this game. Nakbar, Cato, Jimmy Jackson have all played their roles.
Bryant. Now Fox, who has not scored in this series, but gets fouled here. And I believe the indication was it's a two-point attempt. He was inside the arc, so a 2.
Yeah, and that was him being Rick Fox, being a veteran. Gets him up in the air, had no intentions to shoot until he saw him in the air, and then he went on and took the shot. He was trying to get a three-point shot.
So Rick Fox, who has now played 68 minutes, seeks his first point of this series. And let's check in with Michelle.
Al, Rick Fox has said that of all the years he's played in the playoffs with the Lakers, this has been the most unusual. They've needed more control from Phil Jackson on the bench because they don't have enough experienced triangle offense players on the floor. But he said this has been unusual. We've had to change from game to game more than we've ever had to in the past.
He finally gets off the schneid.
Yes,
68
I was
minutes.
worried there.
Well, he has a dislocated thumb. Of course, he missed half the season and most of the playoffs last year, undergoing foot surgery. Got hurt in the playoffs. And then that pass is thrown into the second row by Taylor.
Yeah, terrific job by the Lakers double teaming. And you can see this late double team come here, which forces them to make the pass. Lakers are all in good defensive position, and that's where you get the turnover. Something the Rockets have done pretty good on thus far this game.
Kobe Bryant has 8 points. Malone's been the big man with 19. Medvedenko, he'll drive. And he will score. Defensive foul, three-point attempt coming up. Three-point opportunity for Medvedenko, who again with that sore Achilles heel costing him any playing time on Friday night.
Yeah, and it's looking pretty good. So if you're wondering at home, and you're a guy who watched college basketball, in college that's a charge. In the pros is not, because he was inside the restricted area, and it was an excellent call by the officials.
That's why they have that semicircle there. And it's a 44-39 LA lead with 60 seconds to play in the first half in Houston. And Francis gets fouled by Gary Payton.
You know, it's funny, since the fight or whatever that was that broke out, the referees have decided to call this game very close. And in a lot of ways, it's hurt both teams. It's hurt the Lakers because Shaq's on the floor or off the floor, and the Rockets because Yao's off the floor and Mobley's off the floor.
Officials determining to not let the game get out of control. Francis driving. Got it. Three-point game.
See, this is the old Rockets now. M.E.M's off the floor. They don't throw it to him now. They're going to go to a lot of ISOs and try to beat guys off the dribble. And this is where Steve Francis excels.
Medvedenko puts it up. And the Rockets will inbound 22.3. They're down by 3. Milking the clock here at the end of the opening half. Shot clock turned off. Payton reaching in. Francis goes all the way, and then Malone will add to his total with a rebound and get fouled with 4 seconds by Francis. So Steve Francis, frustrated he wasn't able to make the layup. Malone gets the rebound, then commits his second foul, and this will give Malone an opportunity to wind up the first half in the 20s.
Yeah, and just a bad foul. There's 4.7 seconds left on the clock. It would have been very difficult for the Lakers to bring the ball up and get a score, and that's giving the Lakers extra points if he can convert on these free throws. You should have seen Jeff Van Gundy's face when he saw that foul being called.
Malone with 19 of the Lakers' 44 points, and Jackson saying, man, you got to think.
Yeah, you really do. Now that Malone has missed the one free throw, it may give him a break.
Kobe Bryant has played the whole first half. He has 8 points. Shaq has 3 fouls. Shaq has 7 points, and the man has been Karl Malone. No player in the NBA playoffs this season has scored 20 points in a first half in any of the games. Malone on the second of 2 could do it here. Luke Walton also comes in for the waning seconds. 20 points for Karl Malone. 8 rebounds for Malone. And Walton puts the pressure on in backcourt, forcing this Francis pass from 50 feet. And the Lakers will go back to the locker room on top. Yao with 3 fouls. O'Neal with 3. Malone, 20 points, a phenomenal half for the 40-year-old. And in the pivotal game 4 in this Western Conference first-round series, the Lakers are on top 45-41. Here's Michelle.
With Gary Payton, it got a little heated out there between Malone and Nakbar. What was going on outside of what we could see?
Well, there's a lot of pushing and a lot of shoving going on, and Karl is really animated right now. He's coming out, and they're animated. So we just protecting each other. It's just a little heated in a moment, and that's all that's going on.
Close game. Phil wanted you guys to shut down their penetration. How's it been going so far?
It's going good. I mean, sometimes we can't stop it because they run it so much. But we can contain it and make them take bad shots, and that's what we're doing. We're making them take tough shots, and they're missing, and we're getting out running.
Yao and Shaq each with 3 fouls. How might that impact the second half?
It's going to be a big impact because they both can't get in foul trouble. If they come out and get quick foul trouble, it's going to be an uphill battle, and then we're going to have to execute a little bit more.
Gary, thanks for stopping.
Thank you.
And we're back to the Toyota Center in Houston, where the Lakers lead. Seesaw first half, 45-41. Karl Malone.
Karl Malone.
I'll just mention that name.
Yeah, he has been absolutely terrific in the first half. Not only with his energy, but with his scoring, with his rebounding. He's given this team everything they've needed in the first half, and he was one of our keys to start the game. You know, they've decided that they're going to leave him open. They've turned him into a role player, but he's playing a huge role right now.
Malone, among other things, in the first half, tore his jersey, tore his shirt, and has refused. They have another one. There is a backup uniform or two, but he has elected to be ever the warrior.
Yeah, red badge of courage. You know, he wants to make sure that he remembers what happened.
Battle scarred. Check in with Michelle.
Well, I spoke with Jeff Van Gundy as he came out of the locker room. He said there were 3 bad fouls called. One on Coutinho Mobley, 94 feet away from the basket. One on Steve Francis, same way. And Yao Ming's 3rd foul. But he said we hung in there. Even though the intensity went up, we hung in with the Lakers. He said we're fine. We're going to play our best guys. And he's happy that even after the tussle happened, guys, and the intensity raised, his team kept it together. I said, belief or relief right now? He said, definitely belief.
Well, there's a belief in Jackson because he has just given them the first basket.
Yeah, it's a belief. You know, you question that coming into this game. They did act like they hadn't done it before, you know, but when you think about it, they hadn't. So now you can see that this team believes they can win this series.
Devin George, who started today in place of Fox and then didn't play very much in the first half, starts the second half. And that's George on Francis. Jackson gets free. This would be a 3. Bryant with the rebound. Lakers with 49%, Rockets 41%. Kobe can't get it to go. And the Rockets can take the lead if this one drops. That would have been a 3 by Mobley.
And the first half, or the second half, has started like the first half. The Rockets in transition. I think that's key for them in this second half. They stopped running in the second quarter. That allowed the Lakers to play with them. I don't think the Lakers can beat the Rockets if they both go up and down the floor.
George, a contested 12-footer drops.
And every shot he makes is big because he's playing like a guy who has lost his confidence. He was so good for them at the beginning of the year. He has struggled since.
I remember we did a game in midseason, and I said to you I'd never heard a coach describe a guy's mood as disconsolate as Yao hitched, but we had gone in to do a game, and Phil Jackson said that Devin George was disconsolate.
Yeah, and he's proven Phil right thus far. But they need Devin George. With all the injuries they have, they need him to come up big.
Otherwise, they'll be disconsolate. Malone.
See, this is key. Now, he's going to get those same shots. Jeff Van Gundy has decided you had 20 points in the first half. Well, great job. Let's see if you can score 20 more because we're going to leave you open again.
Cato gets underneath O'Neal with the rebound. Payton down the middle. It's George open for a three. Got it.
Nice job by Gary Payton. Gary Payton had a shot. He sensed Devin George made a shot, give him another shot. He makes that. Now we might have Devin George playing good basketball.
5 points for Devin George. The Los Angeles lead is 5. And Shaq rejects it. Payton out in front with Yao behind him, and the Laker lead is their largest of the game.
Back in Houston, Lakers lead at 59-51, but good news here in that referee Joey Crawford has returned to action in this game just in time for the rest of this second half. He had been taken to a hospital nearby for tests on his calf. The concern was, he told me, that because he travels so much, he might have a blood clot in that calf. But they did all the tests. They ruled that out. They've decided it's simply a calf strain. They've got him in a sleeve, and he is back in action. He said, I was mostly concerned about leaving my two buddies out there alone. I wanted to be the third guy here to share my burden of the duties. Guys?
Thank you, Michelle. And there he is, Joey Crawford.
And needed in this game. You know, I found it interesting. All the veteran players came out, and the first thing they asked was, Joey, you're okay?
Yeah, right.
Such concern.
Such concern. Joey, where have you been? George, play clock down to 3. O'Neal. Taking down to 4 minutes left, third quarter. LA up in the series, 2 games to 1. Up by 8, and now only 6. Melvin Cato. Rim-rattling dunk.
And I guarantee you that was set up by Jeff Van Gundy out of the timeout. And again, Rockets offense created by the pick and roll.
Well, leaving Malone alone. Carl passes it up. Now Kobe off the glass, too hard. Shaq is there. And Shaq fouled by Cato on the way up. Cato, that would be foul number 2.
And now you look at this pick and roll. You see Yao Ming clearing out. Malone has to stay with Yao, which allows Cato to set the pick and roll and get an open dunk. Nice offense.
Shaquille is 1 out of 6 from the free throw line. 11 out of 37 in this series. I
don't like the pace of this game if I'm Jeff Van Gundy. I love the first half, the first quarter. They were in transition. I like the first 2 minutes of the third quarter. But since then, it's been a half-court game, and I don't think that's good for the Rockets.
Lakers controlling the pace of the game. Shaq makes 1 out of 2. 2 for 8 now on the day. 7-point lead. Francis at 27 the other night, 8 today. Mobley. Malone battles for the rebound. It's out of bounds, and it is out of bounds off Houston. Off Cato. Leading scorer in the game with 24. O'Neal, the only other Laker in double figures at 10.
If they're going to play this half court, the Rockets have to get involved in the pick and roll because that has hurt the Lakers. And 2, they have to go to Yao Ming down on the post.
Yao with 10 points, 12 field goal attempts today. Payton gets doubled and gets it to O'Neal. And Shaq gets fouled, and that foul on Yao Ming is number 4.
And you know what the officials are saying? You're asking, what was the difference? You can see Mobley talking to Yao Ming about the very thing. What was the difference? Well, the difference is Yao reached over top. You see how he's reaching over top instead of staying straight up. Shaq sees that, and he brings the ball right up into his arm. Smart play by Shaq.
10 points for O'Neal. 2 out of 8 from the free throw line. O'Neal misses that one. Yao is now out, and Taylor is in. Mo Taylor with Yao on the bench. Francis. And Payton looks around and says, "You got to be kidding me."
Yeah, but they're going to need Francis to do that. Phil Jackson can't be happy with his defense in one way because no one saw the ball. He got all the way to the basket, and watch Karl Malone and Shaq on the right side. By the time they noticed, he was already at the basket. If Jackson has had one disappointment this year, besides all the stuff that has happened with the Lakers, I would say it's been the Lakers' defense. You know, Karl Malone is a great defender. Kobe Bryant and Shaq are great defenders. And Gary Payton is called the glove. And you thought not only would they be better offensively, I thought they would be dominant defensively. And that's the one area that I think the Lakers and Jackson have been the most disappointing.
I'd agree. And for Phil, it's been a season unlike any he possibly could have imagined. After the signings of the two guys, and then Bryant's legal mess and all the injuries that have befallen this team as Devin George pops one, and then he has a guy like George as the fifth Beatle earlier in the year, and then he has to make that change. He gets Fox back from an injury, but Rick, anything but 100%. Malone out half the year.
Yeah, they've had it all.
Francis
looking for the foul instead of making the layup. He could have gone on the strong side of the basket. Instead, he went underneath to try to draw a foul from Shaq.
Malone from Bryant. He's held in the lane by Jim Jackson.
The Rockets better be very careful in this stretch. You can see this lead. This is not a Rocket fast break lead, or if you're watching the Mavericks or Sacramento, the lead can change 10 or 20 points in 2 minutes. This is a slow run right now by the Lakers, and this is exactly the way they want it.
.25 for Karl Malone. Medvedenko comes into the game.
Oh, I love the cat and mouse. Look at this. Shaq goes out, and Jeff Van Gundy brings Yao in because he now wants Yao to have a little bit of time on the floor with Shaq off the floor. I love the cat and mouse by the two coaches right now.
So the 7'6" guy comes in for Houston as O'Neal leaves. Shaq at 7'1". Malone makes them both for 26. I will say, I mean, it's an amazing thing, especially when you sit here and you watch it live, the way Yao kind of dwarfs Shaq. I mean, it's just an amazing thing to see O'Neal and to see them go back on the court together. He is almost dwarfed by Yao Ming. Mobley missed the three.
See, you're wondering why Jeff Van Gundy would bring in Yao with 4 fouls. He's looking at an 11-point deficit right now, thinking this is a key stretch for us. We need our best players on the floor.
No doubt. Minute and a half to go in the third. Biggest Laker lead of the game, 11 points. Medvedenko. George saves. Now Payton. Good Rocket defense
and great patience by the Lakers.
Finally, Payton's free. 4-3.
Wow. Great patience. Great patience. They had 3 or 4 average shots that they turned down. They used the clock, and they got the exact shot they wanted.
I'm not saying that was the dagger, but that was big. And then Yao answers with a deuce on the other end to make it a 12-point game.
And look at the Lakers. They're walking the ball up. No hurry. Use the clock. Put the Rockets crowd to sleep.
Lakers look like a team with a lot of playoff experience, and of course that is the case. Along with Utah almost every year, Peyton, Seattle a lot. Shaq and Kobe, you know about. Devin George as well.
You know, that's true. But the only thing is they don't have playoff experience together. You know, Karl Malone and Peyton have been in a ton of playoff series, but they haven't been in it with Kobe Bryant. They haven't been in it as role players.
And that's a good point. They keep saying they're going to get it together, but if you're not going to get it together by the end of April, when are you going to get it together? 10-point game, waning seconds in the lane. It's Mendonça, and the Lakers can't get a shot away.
Yeah, nice finish by the Rockets, scoring those last 4 points, cutting it to 10, getting them back in this game.
Back in Houston, Al Michaels, Doc Rivers, Michelle Tafoya. Rockets led by 3 at the end of the first quarter. Then the Lakers assumed a 4-point lead. We had an altercation in the first half, which led to that. Karl Malone, the ripped shirt, and he refuses to wear the backup badge of honor here as Malone is having a phenomenal afternoon, and we start the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and one of the things we talked about, look at this here. Double teaming Kobe and Shaq without the ball, forcing the other guys to take shots here. Here's another one. They double team Shaq. Karl Malone steps up. Karl Malone will get the shot, doesn't make it. Jeff Van Gundy has decided you're going to get these shots, other guys. Another double team here with Kobe, but look what it leads to here. You'll see Gary Payton replace, get to the spot, and make the 3. If the role players on the Lakers make 3s and shots, it makes it very difficult for the Rockets to come back in this game. If they don't, they can't.
That was a role player's 3-point attempt. Kareem Rush missing. Rush and Walton are in the game. Interestingly, the Lakers pulling away in the third quarter, and they did it with Kobe not scoring. And O'Neal with 4 points. Jackson, loading hook, makes it an 8-point game.
Jimmy Jackson has been huge in the second half. He has allowed the Rockets to hang close.
He's now their leading scorer. Jackson has 14 points. 10 in this half. Kobe.
Yeah, the problem with double teaming Kobe with Yao away from the basket, Kobe doesn't care if Yao is double teaming him because he knows he can still go around him.
Yao tries to get free, flings up a left-hander that doesn't go, but gets fouled.
Now here's this double team, and this is what we're talking about. Look at Jeff Van Gundy. Come, double, double. Yao doubles. The problem is Kobe's looking at Yao and thinking, that doesn't matter. I'm still quicker than you. And Jeff is thinking, come on, Yao, move your feet.
Well, Van Gundy, as he's prone to do out on the court, Kobe Bryant has just picked up his 4th foul.
Which is huge. You know, the story that really hasn't been talked about is Mobley in the first half was in foul trouble, and that allowed Kobe to be free. He's not scoring, but he's getting everyone else great shots.
Now Mobley has 3, Kobe has 4, Yao has 4. O'Neal has 3. Early fourth quarter, Lakers trying to go back to LA for game 5, which is Wednesday night, and go back with a 3-1 lead. Houston trying to secure a 6th game as O'Neal jams it in and gets fouled.
Another one, in my opinion, that Yao Ming has to allow. Once Shaq gets it above his waist, you are not going to stop him from getting it to the basket when he's that deep. Yao Ming should have backed off and allowed him to have that dunk. Now he has 5 fouls, and he has to sit.
And he has to come out of the game with 10:37 remaining in the fourth as O'Neal goes to the free throw line to try to make it an 11-point game.
I've never seen Patrick Ewing look so small.
It's amazing.
I thought that was Ewing's son.
O'Neal over Cato, and Walton is there, tried to get the rebound, couldn't. Francis
has to be big right now.
Jump ball.
Francis has to come up big right now, and it doesn't necessarily have to be scoring. It has to be getting guys involved. Great defense by Rush there.
Especially with Yao on the bench with 5 fouls. Francis has done a good job, have the Lakers holding him in check. 3 out of 7 from the field. with 10 points. I mentioned before, I said if you sit here as we do at courtside and you watch Yao and Shaq, it's an amazing thing to see Shaq smaller than anybody, and then Ewing looks like a puppy.
And Patrick Ewing's a pretty big guy.
Taylor. One thing is a constant for the Lakers in this series. Gary Payton is on the bench in the fourth quarter.
I wouldn't be surprised, though, in this game that you see him because of the new lineup that they tried for a while. I think you will see him some, unless this unit plays well. One thing that Phil Jackson does, if the unit is playing well, he doesn't care if Kobe and Shaq's on the bench. He tends to stick with it.
Payton hasn't played a second. Free as Walton comes in the back door and then can't make the lay-in.
Yeah, he saw Cato. Jimmy Jackson, Al, I'm just going to keep saying it, is single-handedly right now keeping this Rocket team in this game. Without him, this game would be over.
You're right, because Francis has been, for him, a non-factor. Mobley with those 3 fouls early, he's 3 out of 13. Yao is on the bench. Cato, you know, is going to give you defense. He's giving them a little offense today with 10 points. And Jackson's the guy. An all-access look at the NBA playoffs. Tune into the NBA TV playoff show Destination Finals every weeknight on NBA television. Lakers have shot 26 free throws and only 10 so far for Houston. Jackson makes them both. That's 16 points for him. 8-point game now.
Rockets are hanging close. And that's what they have to do right now. Weather this storm without Yao Ming.
Bryant feeds Walton. Rejected. Swatted out of bounds by Cato.
The first time Walton got a layup, he missed it because he saw Cato. This time, he should have seen him because Cato's right there and gets a great block. And Cato's had a terrific game.
That's going to give the Lakers only 4 seconds on the shot clock when they inbound it. Now, you were down here with Tom Tolbert the other night on ESPN, and they didn't do this to you, did they? I mean, they have in every arena now. They have this "give him a kiss" thing, which they put up on the big. Look at this. Anything to keep you from going back to coaching next year.
I don't know how that might send me.
That's right. I'm going right to the golf course. Full retirement. You're right. Here's Derek Fisher. They had 4 seconds to get the shot off the top of the backcourt. And now it's an 8-point game, and Houston has the ball.
And a chance to get right back in this game with Yao Ming sitting on the bench. This is huge for the Rockets if they can score.
Walton comes out to take Mobley out to midcourt. 10 on the clock. Taylor in the lane to Cato, and the foul, I believe, before the shot. Foul is on Fisher.
Well, Fisher raised his hand.
Yeah, you're right.
Kobe was standing there, and pretty smart play. They did not want Kobe to pick up that 5th foul.
They're going to call it a shooting foul. Foul is on Fisher.
You can see, and I couldn't see who it was really on. Yeah. It was on Fisher, so it was a great call. I tell you right now, this has been a series, in my opinion, about the role players. Both teams have done a pretty good job of trying to double team and stop their key guys. And it's really been the team whose role players have played better. Cato and Jackson have been terrific. Karl Malone has been good. Devin George has been good for the Lakers.
We saw the graphic when he took the foul shot about what it means to be up 3-1. In the history of the NBA playoffs, teams with a 3-1 lead are 143-7 in that series. Taken away from Malone. Jackson. Taylor gets it back out to Mobley for a 3. It doesn't go.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm one of those 7.
Oh, yeah. I didn't want to bring that up, Doc.
Well, thanks.
Jeff Van Gundy is too, you know.
Yes.
Fisher, long 2. Bryant collects it. Trying to get it to Shaq, and Shaq goes down hard. Taylor over Malone off the glass.
The Rockets have fought back into this game. I mean, this is an impressive run from a team who hasn't been in the playoffs.
And Gary Payton, who has not played a single minute in the last 2 games in the fourth quarter, will come in as Shaq gets it to drop. So there is Payton, who played 3.5 minutes in the fourth quarter in the first game, 0 in the second, 0 in the third. Back into the next stoppage. Taylor is free. O'Neal collects it. 11 rebounds for Shaquille. Bryant. Oh, boy.
Wow.
How many guys can do that?
You know, Jeff Van Gundy told me something interesting before the game. He said Kobe Bryant is one of those guys, if you make a mistake at all defensively, he will take advantage of it. He's double-teamed him throughout this series, and he only has 3 turnovers in this entire series. That was a great example right there.
Great example of what he can do, and he did it. That spectacular 3-point play in week 2, or in game 2, was the key. There's Shaq colliding with Cato. Shaquille goes down. Comes back and gets the bounce here. In Houston, here's today's All-State good hands play.
Well, Al, we talked about Shaquille O'Neal and his great hands. That's a heck of a catch by him. If he played football, where would he play?
Well, tight end is the obvious spot. He might be a wideout.
Here we watch Kobe split the double team, take the hit, make the shot, and what do you get when you make that shot when you're coming back to the bench? High five and Phil Jackson.
Phil peeved about maybe a prior play.
Yeah, I think it was, and I don't know what it was. I think it was a lob, but I'm not sure.
Francis. And now Francis says, let me hear it. Well, the reason they haven't been hearing it too much is that Steve's been pretty quiet.
Yeah, he has been quiet, but he has to be big here.
6.5 to go. Gary Payton is in the game. Bryant. Lakers battle, and Kobe got smacked in the face. Fighting for the ball.
And it looked like poked in the eye. When you see a player react, it's usually his eyes. And Kobe doesn't react very often.
No, the only time I've seen him, well, this season, the second time he hurt his shoulder in a Seattle game.
Yeah, you can see it right there.
Yep. Steve Francis got the left hand in there. That, along the way, is the 4th foul for Francis. Back, a live shot of Bryant just before we came back. Jackson, who played the stern father the last time Kobe went to the bench, was now the consoling, concerned parent when Kobe came over.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I've always thought that, you know, as a coach, you get on your players, but it's never personal. It's about winning, and you really care about your players, and I think Phil Jackson just showed a little bit of that to Kobe.
Kobe still blinking out on the court, but staying in the game. Didn't want to come out. Gary Vitti was trying to get him over to the bench, the Lakers trainer. Shaq has it. Throws it underneath and off Malone.
Wow. And once again, they left Malone, and Malone got to a spot under the basket where he was wide open, and Shaq couldn't see it.
Only the 7th turnover for the Lakers today.
I'll tell you, you're Phil Jackson. You're not happy with this game because they've had chances to take them out. Now it's a 2-point game, and this game can go either way now.
Steve Francis making it 77-73. That's 14 for him.
It's the Rockets with the momentum.
Kobe Way long. Mobley on Malone. Loses control of it, but gets hit on the arm. And that foul is going to be on Malone.
Al, you remember when the Lakers had that 12-point lead? They looked comfortable, and we talked about it earlier in the game. The one thing you don't want the Lakers to have is a lead, because this new team gets comfortable and very good. Now that's been all taken away, and you can see it on their faces. This is an uncomfortable game now for the Los Angeles Lakers.
Kareem Rush, who can light it up from three-point land and has in this playoff series, will come in. Lakers' largest lead was 14 points. It's a three-point game right now. Mobley can make it 2. Rush comes in.
And Kobe Bryant goes out.
5:21 remaining in the fourth period. Mobley with 10. 5 Rockets now in double figures. Crowd on its feet. Rush. Inside to Shaq. Got it. Momentarily silencing the crowd. 79-75. Inside 5 minutes. Taylor. Payton's going to try to take the blame for the foul, but they're going to call it on Shaq. The foul is on Shaquille.
And that's a huge bucket there by Shaquille O'Neal. And great drive by Taylor, forcing the contact and getting the foul on Shaquille O'Neal.
4 fouls now on Shaquille O'Neal. This is reminiscent, Doc, of a game we did on Christmas in L.A. when the Rockets came from behind, and they did it with Yao on the bench.
Yeah, and Jeff Van Gundy has done that a lot this year. You know, he's another guy. He looked at his team. They're playing well right now, so he's going to stay with the unit that's playing well right now instead of trying to upset it by bringing a guy in, even if he is Yao Ming.
Meanwhile, the Lakers still with Bryant on the bench as Payton drives the lane, floats one home.
Yeah, and the tough part with that was Cato could not come to help because there was nobody to help him on Shaq.
Francis. And they're going to say it's off the Lakers.
And another play called by Cato. You know, he will get no stat number in that play, but Cato is responsible right here for the Rockets getting the ball back with his hustle.
Rush guarding Mobley. Uncontested 2 is no good by Taylor, and Malone gets the board.
Yeah, but about a step outside of Taylor's range. You know, that's the Lakers would take that shot from that distance.
Malone now has 10 rebounds to go with his 26 points, 20 of which came in the first half, and it's a kicked ball. Lakers will inbound.
And right now, the role players, Karl Malone and Gary Payton, have injected themselves into this game.
Now Kobe's getting ready to come back into the game. He'll come in, Rush comes out. So the Lakers have their Fab 4 plus Devin George on the floor right now. Yao Ming is standing up on the Rockets sideline, but not yet ready to come back into the game. Yao with 5 fouls. Bryant. Out of bounds. And that's 4 seconds on the shot clock. So the Lakers, as was the case a few minutes ago, will have to get off a quick shot, which was unsuccessful the last time. George to inbound. 4 on the shot clock. Payton can't even get the off-balance shot away and travels.
Again, they're leaving guys to double team other guys. Right there, Jimmy Jackson calls that play because he left Devin George to double team Gary Payton, knowing there's only 4 seconds on the clock, not enough time to make a pass.
Francis. Bryant for the rebound. So Steve very much trying to take over as he did in Game 3 on Friday night.
Yeah, he has to. That was a good shot. Just didn't go in.
Bryant gets doubled. George works it inside to Shaq. Short. Tato gets the rebound.
Rockets are hanging around.
3 minutes to play. O'Neal comes all the way out to defense Mobley, and then as Malone starts down the floor, there's a foul. This series started in Los Angeles a week ago last night. Kobe Bryant missed that shot with the Lakers down by 1, but O'Neal was there to clean it up. And then the Rockets still had a chance at the horn with Jim Jackson, normally deadly from that left corner for a 3, missing. And by that narrow margin, did the Lakers escape? Then Kobe had them pull away in the second half in Game 2. Rockets win Game 3, and here we are, Doc, right now. Tight one, going right down to the end in Game 4.
Going right down to the end, and now it doesn't matter with transition or half court. The rest of this game is going to be half court most likely, unless you get a turnover. It's going to come down to execution. I think Jeff Van Gundy has just done a wise thing by putting Yao Ming in. Forget the fouls or anything else. They need his offense. They need him involved offensively.
They were +6 with him on the bench. Yao guarding Malone. Here's Kareem Rush, and Rush had that one partially blocked. Payton is still in. Rush had come in for Devin George.
That's the second time in 2 games in a row down the stretch Phil Jackson has come out of timeouts and run plays for Kareem Rush.
And neither's worked. Rush had a chance the other night to turn a 6-point game into a 3-point game on the play they called for him late in the 4th. Payton, little fall away. O'Neal can't grab the board. Instead, Jackson comes away with it. Jim Jackson has 17 rebounds, his career high either regular season or postseason. Yao gets it back. Is going down, and traveling is the call.
Oh, what a play by Karl Malone. He's been holding and pushing legally, I must say, all game low with the body. And at the very end, watch Karl Malone pull the chair. He'll back up. Yao Ming is looking for Malone's body, and he can't find it. He loses his balance, and he travels. Excellent play.
Is there a guy who can do that in the league any better than Malone?
No, the only guy that used to do it pretty well was Rick Mahorn.
Kobe has the pass knocked away. Trying to get it to Malone. We have 1:40 to play. It's a 4-point game. 18,000 plus standing at the Toyota Center as Mobley goes all the way.
It didn't work. And it works now because Yao Ming is in the game and you can't leave him. So Yao Ming didn't score. He wasn't involved in that play. His presence was huge.
Malone. Payton got the rebound.
Al again, Malone wide open. They're going to leave him open again. They are going to make somebody else beat them instead of these 2 key guys.
Kobe, Yao comes out to help out. Rush gets it into O'Neal, and O'Neal gets fouled by Cato underneath.
Great foul. Shaq's going up, number 1. They're not in penalty, so they have to take it out on the side. And the key to this right here is he has the ball below his waist. He wraps him up so he can't get the ball up. Great foul by Cato. Even if they were in penalty, it was a good foul.
1:03 remaining.
Huge possession. Big possession here for both teams.
14 on the shot clock. Six on the clock. Bryant's got to put it up. Under 50. 2-point game. Francis. He's inside the arc. Ties it. Timeout Lakers. Steve Francis with 16 and the one that ties. 81-81. I think a lot of teams feared of all the bottom seeds in either conference, this was the one they feared. And the way it's turned out, there was a lot to be fearful about because the Rockets are right there.
Well, they have M.E.M number 1, and they have Steve Francis number 2. When you have two players that are quote-unquote franchise players on the same team, it makes it very difficult to play against that type of team in the playoffs. And here you see Steve Francis stepping up and making a huge shot. I thought the key to this game thus far was M.E.M got in foul trouble. Jimmy Jackson's play kept them in. Jimmy Jackson and Cato kept them in this game. Now they have a chance to win this basketball game.
This game was last tied at 37 all with 3 minutes and change remaining in the second quarter.
Now, we talked about Karl Malone and Gary Payton and Fisher getting wide open shots all game. They may get another one here, and they might have to make it to win this game.
Bryant circles, floats one, doesn't get the bounce. The shot clock is on. There's about a 3-second differential.
Good no timeout by Van Gundy. He's going for the last shot.
Francis way short, but Cato gets the rebound. We're under 4. And that's another air ball thrown up by Jackson with 0.4 of a second remaining. And now Joey Crawford will go over. The Rockets are contending there should be.
Why do I have 82 on the scoreboard?
I think what they want to check is the 24-second clock.
I'm thinking so too right now. Sure.
They're thinking the ball didn't hit the rim, neither shot. And they want to check when the Rockets got the rebound, how much time was on the clock. You know, there's a 2-second difference here, almost 3 seconds. If the ball didn't hit the rim, it's no way that it can be 0.4. It has to be 2 seconds left on the clock unless the officials are saying that the ball hit the rim on one of those shots. And I don't think it did. I think they turned the clock off. This is the correct call.
They're going to put 3.1 back on the clock. But the question I have right now, why I'm hesitating for a second, it looks like the Lakers should have the ball, so this would work against Houston. I mean, did any Laker touch the ball before it went out of bounds?
I think they're going to give the ball to the Lakers. They have to, unless they say the ball hit the rim.
Right.
If the ball hit the rim, it's a new 24-second clock, and you can get it.
So the Rockets were actually arguing against themselves. This may be treated as a shot clock violation. Joey Crawford went over to the scorer's table. And that's what they're going to treat it as. And as it turns out, this is good for the Lakers who take a timeout and have extra time on the clock and inbound the ball at midcourt.
Excellent officiating. They were right. The Rockets scorers table turned the 24-second clock off on that second shot, saying that the ball hit the rim, but the officials never signaled that it hit the rim. It should have been a 24-second violation and give the ball back to the Lakers. Excellent officiating right here.
And now there's a timeout taken as the teams come out, as there normally is, to take a look at what the initial alignment was. So the Rockets were arguing, in effect, against themselves when the clock was at 0.4 of a second, even though Crawford would have seen it anyway. He was on his way over there. And here is Crawford, of course, who spent, an hour in a hospital earlier today. Here he was going over to the scorer's table.
Yeah.
Got nothing hitting the rim. Absolutely. So we got a violation. All right. Violation. Relax. We got LA's ball on the sides. There was a difference of 3.1. Was there a difference of 3.1? Somebody talk to me.
You know what's funny, Al, is he's talking to 3 guys who work in Houston. They don't want to tell him. But look at the shot clock. It doesn't hit anything. Now look at the clock. It goes off. That was a wrong move by the scores table.
Right.
Great officiating that they caught it.
The guy screaming, relax, was the only guy yelling.
Yeah, that's Joey Crawford.
That's right.
And he said it right away. The key thing that the official said, Joey Crawford said, was, I didn't see anything hit the rim, did you? Both officials said no. So from that point on, 24-second violation. Anything that happened after that was a non-issue. They were going to stop the game anyway.
Well, everybody who follows the NBA knows it was Kobe on the last night of the regular season with those 2 miracle shots, one in regulation, the other in double overtime. And right now, Payton will inbound.
And watch Derek Fisher on this also.
Here comes Kobe. Do we see Portland again? No. Overtime. First overtime game of the 2004 NBA playoffs. Pivotal game. Either the Lakers go home up 3-1 for Game 5 on Wednesday, or they go back to LA 2-2, which means a definite 6th game here in Houston next Saturday.
Yeah, and obviously that's not the situation the Lakers want, but obviously the situation that the Rockets need.
O'Neal and Cato. Shaq has 17, Malone 26, Bryant 12, and Kobe 5 of 17 from the field today. He's 12 out of 37 is Bryant in the last 2 games. Meanwhile, Jim Jackson having just a phenomenal game, 16 points, 19 rebounds for the Rockets.
And credit Rockets defense in the reason that Kobe Bryant is struggling, the double teams.
Again, Yao playing with 5 fouls, and here's Bryant, who can't make the shot. Yao had to think about that 6th foul. Payton can't make that one either.
And the reason Gary Payton got to the paint is interesting. When Kobe drives, he takes the whole team with him. When Gary Payton drives, just that guy guarding him helps. Kobe was in the corner, Payton drives, Jimmy Jackson stays at home with Kobe. They are just not going to let Kobe get off. And if someone else beats him, then they beat him.
Payton now 1 out of 3 from the free throw line today. And the Lakers are up by 1. Steve Francis coming alive in the 4th quarter. A couple of big baskets. He has 16. Shaq comes out to guard Mobley, leaving Yao free. 83-82.
That's the difference between Shaq and Yao. You know, Shaq's more powerful. Yao has more skill as far as he's able to make those open jump shots.
Clarkson is good from the free throw line. Malone gets by Yao, hangs one up that doesn't drop, and the foul is going to be on Malone, offensive.
Now, the first 3 quarters, Karl Malone takes that jump shot. Down the stretch, he passes up the jump shot and then clears out and gets an offensive foul.
4 on him now.
He is still going to have to take those same shots that they gave him in the first 3 quarters.
Francis. Jackson. Francis' shot doesn't go, but the putback does. Will it count? No. Foul is on Shaquille O'Neal. That's his 5th.
And what Joey Crawford was calling it on, you can see it with that angle, was Shaq was grabbing his jersey, and he called it on that before Yao got the ball. So good call.
Non-shooting foul. Mobley now. Mobley going to the hoop. 85-82, Houston.
I think they believe that.
Bryant gets fouled. Who's the foul on here?
And you look at this drive here, and you know Shaq couldn't foul, had to get out of the way, and then Karl Malone was there so late that he couldn't foul. Again, what are they scoring on now? The pick and roll.
That's Francis's 5th foul.
All this is a result of the Jeff Van Gundy and the Rockets double teams, even the free throws. When you don't get shots, when everything's forced, you get no rhythm.
1 out of 2 for Bryant. 3:16 remaining. Rockets by 2.
Rockets must execute down the stretch here.
Mobley. That would have been a 2. Bryant. Kobe with Yao coming out to double him. Now Fisher throws it up. Rockets take it away. Stevie Francis with the tough D. 2.5 to go in overtime. To the basket goes Mobley. Pick and roll. The Rockets are picked and rolling. Up by 4.
Once again here, Al, pick and roll. Shaq and Kobe get caught up into the screen. Nobody steps up to help. Cuttino Mobley now twice has gotten all the way to the basket off the pick and roll.
Bryant in the corner. Fisher. Payton gets the rebound. Clock ticks down to 2 minutes. Bryant doesn't hit the rim. Under 2 to play.
First time Bryant gives it up. Fisher gets a wide open shot. He misses it. The second time Bryant forces the shot because his role players aren't making shots.
Underneath. It's out of bounds to the Rockets with 6 ticks left on the 24. Rockets take a 22nd timeout here. Doc, we're heading at the moment for a best-of-3 series.
Yeah, and that's exactly the way the Rockets want it. And if the Rockets pull this off, we do have a series. And you will no longer hear that the Lakers say, well, we're not concerned. Because if they lose this game, they better be concerned.
I think they were concerned coming into the game. Again, it's a lot of whistling in the dark. All year long, the Lakers, no matter what was going on, no matter how many travails there were in any period of time, we're going to be all right. It'll be okay.
You know, but if you listen to the rest of the NBA, Al, everyone else in the NBA, player-wise, is saying, we don't care about their names. They still have to lace them up and play. And when you watch the Rockets, they're carrying that out. You can see they don't care who these guys are. They're going to come out and play, and they're playing very well.
They carry even less now than they did coming back on Tuesday after the Monday night game. 6 seconds left on the 24. Shaq with the board. Payton. Malone's going to drive. Got it.
Big.
And fouled.
Again, Karl Malone is getting open shots, and he's taking advantage. He has responded this evening. And more importantly, that's the 6th foul on Yao Ming.
So Yao Ming has fouled out. But the Rockets know they can hang with the Lakers even without him, because while he was on the bench in the fourth quarter, they were able to outscore the Lakers during that stretch. They beat him on Christmas night with Yao on the bench. So they'll have to do it without him again in a game right now that's 87-83.
Yeah, the key here, though, is Steve Francis, Mobley, Jackson. Someone on that team is going to have to step up. The other guy that I would assume that Jeff Van Gundy brings in is Maurice Taylor. He's been terrific down the stretch, and in fourth quarters for the Rockets, it's a tough matchup for the Lakers. The key, though, is the pick and roll now. The pick and roll is a little easier for them to defend when Yao Ming is not in the game, because the bigs can rotate. When Yao Ming is in the game, it's very difficult to rotate off him because you have to keep a body on him.
It's 87-85. Malone is 6 out of 8, tries to make it a one-point game. And it's a one-point game with 1:27 to play.
Big three-point play by Karl Malone.
Taylor and Cato up front. And then Jackson has it stolen by Bryant. Kobe Bryant's going to go all the way off the glass and make it 88-87. So the Rockets went from having a 4-point lead and inbounding the ball with 6 on the 24 to a 1-point deficit, and Yao having fouled out in a nanosecond, in effect.
The first was set up by Karl Malone's three-point play. This was all Kobe Bryant. And that's what makes great players great, is they can struggle all game, but they're the one guy in the arena that never loses their confidence.
Postseason is just extraordinary. It's
really
just special, and overtime in postseason, off the charts.
It's amazing. And I don't want to hear about the scoring stuff either, Hal, because this is a low-scoring, unbelievable game to watch. And it's because of great defensive plays, exciting plays. And you look at the Lakers right now, who at 10 seconds looked dead in the water ago, yet they have that heart of a champion. They've been San Antonio, those two teams that you can never count out.
It took them literally 15 seconds to erase the 4-point deficit, take a 1-point lead. Francis bumps into Fisher, and they're going to call the foul on Derek Fisher.
Yeah, and that's a tough call because he lost the ball. You know, I really did. I thought Steve Francis lost the ball here, and then Derek, you can see the ball's lost already before the contact. So, but it didn't cost anything. You bring it on the side, except for now next foul, you go to the free throw line.
That was the one to give, 60 seconds to play. Francis. And Fisher tries to take that one away and got him, so that one will send Steve to the free throw line.
Yeah, and that one it would have anyway. So even if he didn't commit the first one, where I thought was not a good one, this was a shooting foul anyway, so Francis still goes to the line. Yeah, that's a good call.
The Rockets are 15 out of 17 from the free throw line. The Lakers are 17 out of 31 from the line. So the Lakers have been to the line a lot more. But part of the problem, of course, Shaq, 3 out of 11. And they've missed 14. The Rockets have missed 2 for the lead. No. And the rebound pulled down by Malone. Spectacular game for Karl. Offensively, defensively, 29 points. That big three-pointer. 11 rebounds for him. Bryant now all the way. Bryant slings it up, gets the bounce.
The first time, Al, the first time this game, the Rockets did not send a double team. And I guarantee you it was a mistake. No double team. You can see Francis late here. Taylor late. Kobe gets all the way to the basket for a three-point opportunity. I guarantee you that was miscommunication by someone on the Rockets not to come and get the ball out of Kobe's hands.
Kobe just smells it when he goes to the basket, makes a three-point play out of it with under 40 to go. Kobe has 6 points in overtime. Francis nearly lost the ball and does, because he has to save it at the end line, and the Lakers come back the other way.
Jeff Van Gundy is not going to foul here because he will still have 7 seconds left. But the key is then they would have to make a 3.
They have to make a 3, and they have to make sure the Lakers don't make anything here. Kobe's got the ball. Bryant Swings it out to Fisher. He puts it up with 3 on the shot clock. And Malone gets the rebound. It would figure Malone again, naturally. Karl Malone. Wow. 13 rebounds, 29 points, 47 minutes, 40 years old, torn jersey. Unbelievable.
Karl Malone has been absolutely unbelievable in this game.
Francis was just fouled out.
Gets a 6-foul. I mean, unbelievable he's been. He's been the quickest guy to the ball most of the game. It's one thing that he gets open shots. It's another thing that the 40-year-old player on the court is the quickest guy to react to balls the entire game. He's been amazing.
Well, that'll be a scene if the Lakers go all the way. You're going to see that shot a lot. Malone with the jersey, and again, they do carry backup jerseys. He just refused. That all came as part of an altercation with Bosjan Nakbar in the first half. He picked up a technical during that period of time. He had 20 points in the half. And this is a guy who, of course, missed half the season with a knee injury. He really hasn't been totally healthy. He's been limping during practice.
Yeah.
He's walking around. He came in. He's anything but 100%.
I think it was the best break of his life. Now, having said all this, he still has to make one of these free throws. And he's had a history.
Karl Malone, if he makes this one, has just become the oldest player to score 30 points in a playoff game.
Wow.
And I'll tell you what, knowing the marketing in this country right now, in all of these outlets tomorrow, you're going to see Malone jerseys with tears in them. I mean, they don't miss an opportunity. They'll exploit anything.
Jeans with holes in them, Malone jerseys with tears.
And the Rockets take a timeout. 92-88. You know, when you look at Bryant's numbers, they're not going to blow anybody away. 7 out of 21, 0 for 2 from three-point land, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. But the steal, and then at the end, as Paget puts one up, and the Lakers will get on the plane and say what they hope is good riddance to Houston. Had they lost, they knew they'd be making a trip back here at the end of next week. Now they can wrap it up if they win the game in Staples Center on Wednesday, which will be a 5th game. And so the Los Angeles Lakers, in the same bracket with San Antonio, and the Spurs try to wrap up their series in advance tonight, are up 3-1 in an overtime game here in Houston. Somehow, some way, Malone, of course, is the big man. Let's go to Michelle.
Karl Malone, talk about the overtime period and just your ability to maintain energy throughout this game.
Well, that's what you work all the summer for, is games like this. We don't think about getting tired, but I think everybody did a great job down the stretch. Now Made here hit some big buckets for us to get us a little cushion there. We were able to do it, but these kind of games right here you dream about.
You didn't want to take off the jersey. What does it represent to you?
Warrior, been a warrior. The more banging it is, the more my jersey get tore, I love it. I love it.
Karl, thanks. Congratulations. Kobe, talk about the overtime period. What worked for you there?
You know, I just had to do what I do best. You know, there weren't any gaps throughout the course of the game. I just had to be patient and attack early and try to close them out.
What were you guys thinking going into that overtime, and then you're down by 4? How concerned were you that this was going to be a Houston win?
Well, I mean, the concern is always there, but what I told the guys is that there's a lot of time. And we've been in this position before, and there was so much time left. You know, the important thing was just to get a stop, go down, score, and stop them.
You got poked in the eye pretty badly, it looked like. How is it feeling? What happened?
I think Francis got me pretty good in the eye. At one moment, when I took a shot, I saw about 3 baskets up there. You know, but I was able to shake it off in overtime.
Well, you guys are up 3-1. Congratulations, Kobe.
Thank you.
Back to you, Al.
Thank you, Michelle. Doc, I can only imagine in the Los Angeles area tomorrow, a lot of mailmen will be delivering mail with torn uniforms.
Yeah, and they really should, in tribute of the 40-year-old Karl Malone. Awesome.
Overtime. Lakers win it, 92-88. ABC Sports Online at ESPN.com. Doc Rivers, Michelle Tafoya, and our entire ABC crew. This is Al Michaels saying so long from Houston, where the Lakers go up 3-1.